I think, very good shape to deliver a top quality performance.
Rock and roll has always had two sides: the shiny stage lights, and the shadows behind them. Most artists spend their lives polishing the glare. Neil Young, he walked straight into the shadows, and stayed there. Because he wasn't searching for pretty notes. He was searching for honest ones. And every piece of that honesty traces back to these 7 records, albums that frightened him, challenged him, cracked him open, and rebuilt him again. So let's dive into the music that shaped the man who kept the rust, on purpose. Number 7. Hank Williams. 40 Greatest Hits. Before Neil Young ever plugged in an amplifier, he met a voice that didn't need one. Hank Williams. One album, 40 Greatest Hits, showed Neil the kind of pain you don't learn in school. Hank didn't decorate heartbreak, he didn't perform it, he bled it. Songs like, I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry, didn't ask you to understand them. They simply moved into your chest and stayed there. Neil was young, growing up in Canada, but when he heard Hank, he felt something ancestral, something older than rock, older than country, older than words. That's where Neil learned one of the rules he never abandoned. If it hurts, say it plain. If it's true, don't pretty it up. Hank Williams gave him permission to let the cracks show, and to trust that the audience would hear the truth inside them. Number 6. Bob Dylan. The Freewheelin', Bob Dylan. If Hank taught him how to feel, Bob Dylan taught him how to fire. The Freewheelin', Bob Dylan, hit Neil like a storm. Sharp lyrics, raw voice, and zero apologies. Dylan didn't care if you agreed with him. He just cared that you heard him. Songs like, Blowin' in the Wind, A Hard Rain's A Gonna Fall, Don't Think Twice, It's All Right, showed Neil something priceless. A voice doesn't need to be pretty to be powerful. It just needs to be fearless. You can hear that lesson echoing years later in Neil's own protest songs, Ohio, Southern Man, and Rockin' in the Free World. Dylan showed him that truth is allowed to shout. Number 5. The Beatles. Rubber Soul. Rubber Soul wasn't just another Beatles record, it was the moment they grew up. And Neil Young was watching closely. They weren't chasing fame anymore. They were chasing meaning. Songs turned inward. Experimentation bloomed. Folk met sitar. Pop met soul searching. Neil realized something vital. Evolution isn't betrayal, it's survival. Years later, when he made a soft record like Harvest and then immediately turned around and released something completely different and abrasive, this was the blueprint. The Beatles showed him that artists don't just entertain. They evolve, or they fossilize. Number 4. The Rolling Stones. Aftermath. If the Beatles offered exploration, the Stones offered danger. Aftermath was the Stones before fame carved them up. Raw, hungry, unpredictable. Painted black, sounded like the edge of the world. Under My Thumb, strutted with uncomfortable swagger. Goin' Home, jammed for 11 minutes simply because they felt like it. The Stones taught Neil the magic of the edge, not the spotlight. The edge of the spotlight. The place where music stops behaving. Where feedback becomes emotion. Where risk becomes reward. Every Wild Crazy Horse jam session owes a debt to that lesson. Number 3. Phil Ochs. I Ain't Marching Anymore. Phil Ochs wasn't subtle, he didn't hint, he confronted. This album, unfiltered, unpolished, unapologetic, showed Neil that protest music didn't have to be poetic. It could be a punch. Phil Ochs risked everything to say what needed saying. And Neil listened carefully. Later, when he wrote, Ohio, in one sitting, hands shaking, voice cracked, that wasn't just influence. That was lineage. Phil taught him, when the world burns, you don't whisper. You sing louder. Number 2. Jimi Hendrix. Electric Ladyland. Then came the album that didn't open a door, it blew the entire wall off the house. Jimi Hendrix didn't play guitar. He commanded weather. He shaped electricity. Electric Ladyland showed Neil that the guitar wasn't an instrument. It was a living animal. Feedback wasn't failure. Distortion wasn't chaos. Imperfection wasn't a problem, it was texture. This was the album that told him, let go, follow the noise, trust the storm. Every unhinged Crazy Horse solo traces its DNA straight back to Hendrix. Number 1. Buffalo Springfield, Neil's own band. And finally, the album Neil Young holds closest. His own band's very first record. Not because it was perfect. Not because it sold millions. But because it captured something you can only catch once. Possibility, uncertainty, hunger, magic before anyone knew it was magic. It was messy, it was uneven, and it was alive. That's the moment Neil spent his entire career trying to recapture. The sound of musicians still becoming themselves. And that became his philosophy. The searching matters more than the finding. These 7 albums didn't polish Neil Young. They didn't smooth him out. They made him real. They taught him to trust mistakes, chase feelings, and turn truth into sound, even when truth wasn't pretty. Which album shaped you? Drop it in the comments. Backstage Tales wants to hear your story. And if you want more deep dive stories about the artists who changed music, make sure you subscribe. This is Backstage Tales, and I'll catch you in the next one.